The judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom like a death knell. Mrs. Henderson, you have been found guilty of breaking and entering, criminal trespass, and attempted assault on a police officer. I watched Margaret Henderson, the woman who'd terrorized our neighborhood for 3 years, deflate like a punctured balloon. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. The bailiff was already moving toward her with handcuffs. Your Honor, she croaked, I had HOA authority. No, ma'am. Judge Roberts cut her off. You had delusions of grandeur. 18 months in county jail. Margaret's face went from red to white to green in record time. When her panicked eyes found mine across the courtroom, I gave her the most innocent smile I could muster. Sometimes karma needs a little help. And sometimes it just needs you to go on vacation. Let me take you back to where this beautiful disaster began. 3 months ago, I was just another homeowner trying to live peacefully in Maple Ridge Estates. Keyword, trying. Margaret Henderson ruled our HOA like a tiny tyrant in sensible shoes. She'd been president for 8 years, running unopposed because nobody else wanted to deal with her particular brand of crazy. Margaret wasn't just your garden variety control freak. She was special. She treated the neighborhood like her personal kingdom and herself like its absolute monarch. The woman had a key to every house in the development for emergencies. She'd explained when I first moved in, holding out her manicured hand expectantly. HOA policy. All residents must provide a spare key. I'd been young and naive enough to comply. Big mistake. Margaret used those keys like her personal shopping pass. She'd let herself into homes to inspect for violations while people were at work. She'd rearrange furniture that was visible from the street. She'd even throw away mail she deemed unsightly. The woman was completely unhinged, but she was also clever. She only targeted people who were too polite, too busy, or too scared to fight back, until she picked the wrong house to break into. My troubles with Margaret started small. A violation notice for my mailbox being improperly positioned, a fine for my trash cans being visible from the street for 30 seconds on pickup day, a written warning for my garden hose being aesthetically displeasing. Each violation came with a passive-aggressive note written in her signature purple ink. I know you want to be a good neighbor, she'd write. I'm here to help you succeed. The help I needed was a restraining order. Things escalated when I made the mistake of questioning her authority during an HOA meeting. Margaret, the community guidelines don't actually say anything about mailbox positioning. Her smile could have frozen hell. The guidelines are a living document. They evolve with community needs. Who decides what those needs are? The board. Of course. What board? You're the only officer listed. The room went dead silent. Margaret's face flushed red. I think this meeting is over, she said. Standing abruptly, that's when I knew I'd made an enemy. Margaret's revenge was swift and merciless. Suddenly, I was getting violation notices daily. My doormat was non-compliant. My porch light was too bright. My car was parked incorrectly in my own driveway. But the real Margaret emerged when she started using her key. I'd come home to find my furniture rearranged, my mail sorted and reorganized, my kitchen cabinets reorganized for optimal efficiency. Once, I caught her red-handed in my living room, measuring my coffee table. Just checking for compliance, she said casually, like standing in someone else's house uninvited was perfectly normal. Get out. I have HOA authority. Get out of my house. Margaret. She left, but not before leaving a violation notice on my counter for aggressive behavior toward community officials. I changed my locks the next day. Margaret did not take kindly to being locked out of her kingdom. The next morning, I found her standing in my driveway with a locksmith. What are you doing? Replacing your non-compliant locks, she said primly. The HOA requires access for emergency inspections. Like hell. It's in the community guidelines. Show me. She fumbled with her clipboard. Section 12. Subsection 4. Which says what, exactly? Homeowners must provide reasonable access for community safety. Emergency access. not rearrange my furniture access. Margaret's mask slipped. I am the HOA president. I have the right to enter any home in this community. No, you don't. We'll see about that. The locksmith, bless him, had already packed up his tools. Even he knew crazy when he saw it. 2 weeks later, I had to travel for work. A week in Chicago, leaving my house empty. Or so Margaret thought. See, I'd learned something interesting about Margaret's emergency inspections. She always struck when people were out of town. Neighbors had mentioned coming home from vacation to find their homes mysteriously tittied and their belongings moved around. I wasn't about to let that happen to me. I called my friend Jake. I need a favor. Jake was perfect for this job. Quiet, observant, and most importantly, he worked night shifts as a police officer. He'd be home during the day, sleeping lightly, ready for anything. Just house sit for a week, I told him. Water the plants, collect the mail, maybe catch a burglar. You think she actually break in? Margaret Henderson doesn't think, she just acts. And when she does, I want witnesses. Jake grinned. This should be fun. I'd been in Chicago for 3 days when Jake called. Your HOA president is here, he whispered. She's trying to get in through the back door. Are you recording? Already started. She's got a whole toolbox with her. I could hear Margaret's voice in the background, muttering about stubborn locks and community authority. She's in, Jake whispered. Holy shit, she's actually in your house. Don't engage yet. Let her get comfortable. For the next 10 minutes, Jake narrated Margaret's break-in like a nature documentary. She'd brought cleaning supplies, organizational tools, and a measuring tape. She was treating my house like her personal project. She's in your bedroom now, Jake reported. She's rearranging your closet now. Now, Jake's cop voice was a thing of beauty. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step away from the dresser and put your hands where I can see them. The shriek that followed could have shattered glass. Margaret's reaction was everything I'd hoped for and more. You can't arrest me, she screamed as Jake cuffed her. I'm the HOA president. Ma'am, you're under arrest for breaking and entering. This is my community. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent. I'll have your badge for this. Jake, being the professional he was, just smiled. I'm sure you'll try. The best part. Margaret had brought her phone to document her inspection. Jake's body camera caught everything, but Margaret had accidentally filmed herself picking the lock, breaking in, and rummaging through my belongings. She'd created her own evidence. The trial was a masterpiece of self-destruction. Margaret's lawyer tried to argue HOA authority, but the prosecutor had Jake's testimony, the body camera footage, and Margaret's own phone video. Your Honor, Margaret's lawyer pleaded, my client believed she had legal authority to break into someone's home. The prosecutor shot back, to pick locks, to rearrange their personal belongings. Margaret couldn't help herself. She stood up in court. I was maintaining community standards. By breaking the law, I am the law. Even her lawyer FACEPALM ed. The jury deliberated for 20 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Margaret lost everything. Her HOA position, her community standing, her freedom. The homeowners association dissolved rather than deal with the scandal. Property values actually went up once word got out that the neighborhood dictator was gone. But the best part, the twist I'd been saving for last, Jake wasn't just any police officer, he was internal affairs. Margaret's threat to have his badge triggered a full investigation into her activities. Turns out, she'd been embezzling HOA funds for years, using her position to steal from the very people she claimed to protect. The woman who thought she was above the law ended up facing federal charges for mail theft, embezzlement, and fraud. As I watched the bailiff lead Margaret away in handcuffs, I couldn't help but smile. She'd spent years breaking into people's homes, violating their privacy, and abusing her power. In the end, all it took was one vacation and one very patient police officer to bring her down. Sometimes the best revenge is just giving someone enough rope to hang themselves. Margaret Henderson had enough rope to hang the entire neighborhood.